out by Lucas Mills. And it's about the idea of pagans as a threat to the ethical, moral, social culture of the United States and Christendom in general, but especially of the United States. And what made it famous, it came out September 16th in the wake of the Charles Kirk death. And people want to point out it's assassination. He was shot while speaking to the public. We're not going to cover that issue, but the book did come out, and it's quick. It's very important because people have to understand its distribution. So The Pagan Threat, I am not going to argue, is a good book. It's not a great book. It is not a book in the way that most people, academics or people who read, would see as a good, strong book. And let me go. John Bennett of Pathos did an amazing job. I don't think I could do a better job. I don't think anyone, I couldn't even try to touch it with fantastic job. I don't think many could have answered what's wrong with this book from an academic, historical, and factual basis. The John Beckett over at Pathos came out a couple of days ago. I would go read that if that is what you're looking for. Let's make that very clear. And I know a number of other good reviews and everything else. What a lot of the people who are reviewing it, and people who are just hearing about it, headline readers, and people who are reacting to it, is saying this is just another satanic panic. That we've seen all this before, and we've seen how it goes before, and how it acts. Now, I'm a First Amendment warrior. I'm probably the leading First Amendment warrior in the pagan community in the sense of that I do work with the First Amendment thoroughly. And I'm always advising people when we're utilizing it. Media, religion, assemblies, we do great events, all of that. And we've been developing media for a very long time. The Pagan Threat is essentially what they call an aggression book. And let me tell you what the point of it was and the distribution that got kind of sped up. It was going to be around the Turning Point USA movement, which has chapters all over the colleges, all over the United States, and some high schools, and a growing number of people have influence. More than 40, according to them, more than 40,000 people signed up since Charlie Kirk's death. And you're seeing commemorative coins. You're seeing all of those martyrdom pieces that are just essential to a good movement, cult movement. And I hate to say it, but that's what it is. Towards a more dominant form of Christianity. But if he had not died, these books were going to be a little bit more quietly spread all over the United States through colleges targeted Generation Z. And the idea is that these were going to be disruptive. And so everybody said, oh, yeah, that sort of thing. It's going to be disruptive. Yeah, it was. Essentially, that's the idea of it. But what its number one purpose was, is to lay out permissions. This is the important part. Permissions for Turning Point members and other sort of bully Christianities. Those, I'm a Christian and you need to be a Christian too. And if you're not a Christian, I'm going to badger you until you say yes. That book is its number one target is the minister, the Generation X minister, the college kid who wants to be like Charlie Kirk, who wants to be popular, who wants to be a part of this movement. The Pagan Threat is a manual for them to be able to, like Charlie Kirk, debate everybody, like Lucas Miles, debate everybody with Christian words, with these sort of thought-ending. That's why you should read John Bennett. He does such a great job of doing it. But the thought-ending cliches, things like, "Oh yeah, that's right," and you never think about it again. And so those things are right there. So this book isn't written for pagans. It's not even really about us in the sort of microwave. They do mention in the book, in one of the chapters, that Glow of Theosophy, that we basically are only 1.5 million people. We only really have I'm going to say it out loud. We only have 150,000. I think only 150,000 really active members. I mean, the grinders, the pagan pride leaders, the essential We build churches, we do covens. I don't think we have much more beyond the 150,000. And the argument for 1.5 million adherents is based on book sales and a few other things. I think it's an okay number, but that only reaches 0.5% of America. Some people will say 3 million. I would argue that's an influencer number, meaning people will kind of hold it like in the ha-ha moment, but if they were tested to it, it would collapse. And anyone who says these numbers of 8, 10, and claim all of this spiritual and all these other numbers are nonsensical. They're really just trying to blow smoke. So one of the things I'm going to read off really quick. I want to show you this. I'm having a hard time with it. They're talking about, here we go. Making up a large portion of these new pagan converts are millennials and Generation Z Zoomers who are trading crosses, necklaces, Bible studies, and youth for crystals, tarot cards, and seances. Collectively known as the Harry Potter generation, millennials and Zoomers who grew up with the dreams of attending Hogwarts, playing Dungeons and Dragons, or forming friendships through LARPing, live-action role-playing, are no strangers to wizardry and witchcraft. However, an infinity for fantasy isn't the sole factor driving the departure from traditional faiths. Their shared experience of traumatic events also play a role. Chief amongst these, there's September 11th, 2001, the alarming increase of school shootings, isolation distrust stemming from the COVID-19 shutdown, all contributing to millennials and Zoomers' inclination toward exploring, experimenting with alternative religious practices. There you go. Isn't that an interesting thing? All of these events conspired to drive them away from what? Into experiment with alternative religious practice. Additionally, fueling the significant growth in American paganism amongst the next generation, a website like outschool.com, which boasts 10 interactive online witchcraft class routines, as well as the Wicca Academy, which offers courses in tarot reading, spellcrafting, and basic magic, advertised to help you become the witch you are meant to be. They should have added witch school, but they don't want to send people to witch school. Oh my God, they would make a mistake. And they go on and on from here about the local culture, but that's the significant energy they're trying to start and create. So this is a book about it. So the purpose of this book is to basically say the culture is bad. All parts of it is bad. And they want to dominate anyone who's reading this book. They want them to be able to push back against anybody as they withdraw, and the real reason for street evangelism, into the group stronger and stronger, so that they spend more and more hours with their religious group. In this case, Turning Point, USA chapters in college, and be able to bully. And who is this going to bully? That's the problem. The person that it's going to bully are the Wiccan, pagan, gay, transgender, all of these other ones, transgender. And remember, they are said explicitly in this book that transgenderism is not civil rights. It's not about health. It's not about any of these things. It's a pagan religious movement. That's what they're saying. And so one of the things that John Beckett and a lot of other people write is that they made us way bigger than we could possibly be. They make us seep into it, just like the Satanic Panics and other movements as such as the Great Awakening. They're making us the strawman enemy. And they really don't believe we exist in the way that it is. And we don't fundamentally exist. Let me make it very clear. We have no authority in the United States, hardly ever. We get a few lucky strikes with it. And remember, if you really want to help your community, back Wild Hunt right now heavily and Lady Liberty League. So they're going to come after, and they've got 6 pieces of agenda, and I'll go through them. I'm going to give those the agenda. So they have a basic agenda of action plan. They have an action plan. And as soon as I find it here, action plan, I wrote it, I clipped it. There it is. A word of caution: as pagan influence grows in America, many Christians may become frustrated by the sluggish pace of this revivalist work required to see cultural change. The effort of changing hearts and minds takes time, and for the zealous, a temptation exists to accelerate the desired social revival through militant means. Once impatience sets in, it's easy to see force or coercion as the only available solution to push back the darkness to restore spiritual righteous order. But history has shown the dangers of such approaches. And they go on to say you shouldn't do it. And so they're saying the basic thing you need to do first, set your foundation of your tradition, of your beliefs. All right, here it is. Such long, I need to set this up. But the final battle plan. Moving forward, as Christians, we're not only know to the right worldview, the worldview that tells us the truth about what it is, but constantly to act upon the worldview as to influence society on its all parts and facets across the whole spectrum of life. They have the right to, and they have the right to interfere anywhere they want. As much as we can to the extent of our individual and collective ability. So you want to deepen discipleship rooted in primary Christian doctrine. Go back to your church. Make sure everybody knows what the Christianity is. And that includes robust teaching, study church history, contextualize the truth, develop a roadmap for Christian engagement in politics and the public square. If we don't speak out as authoritarian governments grow from within and come from outside, eventually our children will be the enemy of society and the state. For them, this is a life and death battle. Engage in public discourse, support faithful leadership, and advocate for biblical justice. This is what they're asking. Anyone who believes in this philosophy is asking for it. How many people do we need involved? Leverage technology for the advancement of the gospel. And they basically say paganism's got on top of them. Create gospel-centered content, training digital evangelists. And the Pope just announced it today that they're beginning digital ambassadors for the Vatican. Look to the next thing. They want you to evolve with that. Redouble efforts to reach today's youth. Invest in youth ministry, mentorship, and role models, and go where they are. Now, everyone's going to say, oh, this isn't the same thing as always. Implement a practical strategy for evangelism, new attendee onboarding for system of church, hybrid evangelism, and recommit to intentional missions. Here's what it is. Directly combat false doctrines and pagan ideologies. Strengthen apologetics. This book is meant to do exactly that. Strengthen apologetics. This is why this book was written. Expose deceptive teachings. And that this book talks about all of it. Empower prayer warriors. Get people to go there and invest their energy and pray for people. Really invest in people and make them become Christians. And the seventh and final one is renew interest in spiritual gifts. They want to take 1 Corinthians 12 and really kind of teach them the gifts, activate the gifts. Basically psychic awakening, but their magic, not ours. All in all, this is what this book wants to do. That's the main function of this book. It is an evangelical aggression manual to provide apologetics and other members of Turning Point USA and other youth ministries to stop and try to prevent the flow of college kids and younger entering into witchcraft, Wicca, and paganism. It's that simple. That's what they want, and they want to do it aggressively and hard. If you think this is just some sort of, badly written book, you're right. But do you think it is a book without influence? You're wrong. Thousands and thousands and thousands of these are going out, not just a few. These are very rich people. My God, this is put out by people who almost the entire cabinet of the United States came to eulogize one of them that had passed away. That is an extremely high level of commitment to this ideology. Let's hope it changes, but that's what this book is about. That's what it's for. So, what do we do about it? That's up to you, each of you, to do so. I will talk more about it, and I will answer any questions anyone has about it that they have. Okay, so you can leave a comment if you like. If not, all right, folks, that's the pagan threat. It is a real threat to us. And yeah, I got the joke. Ed the Pagan Threat. I mean, people have been joking with me all day about that. But, all right, talk to you later. And remember, it's Pagan Pride this weekend. Do the things you would